I always see people on TikTok commenting things like, man, I can't have one original experience, can I? And guilty. I'm one of those commenters. Until I think back to something that happened to me in the 4th grade that might actually be the original experience. So it was spring break of my 4th grade year and my family decided to take me to Disneyland. And every time that we go on a trip, they make me wait until the very last day to pick out souvenirs because, I don't know. And the whole time I was there, I was like begging for the stuffed animal of Stitch. And so finally the last day comes and it's early in the morning and they're like, fine, you can get the Stitch plush. So we buy it and I'm walking around the park with it and everything's fine. Until we go to eat lunch. Now we're sitting at a reasonably small table, and mind you, the Stitch plush is like this big, like it's pretty hard to miss. So I put him in the chair right next to me, and then I just continue eating my meal until we stand up to leave the table, and I turn to my left, and it's gone. Now I'm like, how did we lose it? He was right there, right next to me, in the seat, right next to me. How did I lose him? We looked everywhere around the table, but it was literally nowhere to be found. So we decided to give up and just keep walking around the park, and maybe we'll get another one later. So we're walking to Space Mountain, and as we're getting into the line of Space Mountain, some people are walking out from Space Mountain, and there's this little girl who is holding the exact same Stitch plushie that I had bought. Now I didn't jump to any conclusions like, oh my gosh, she stole my Stitch plush, because it's Disney parks. They probably have an abundance of those Stitch plushes. But I was like, wow, it's almost like the universe is laughing at me for losing something so big and so hard to lose. But it gets even weirder when we go to ride It's a Small World. And if you know It's a Small World, it's like an indoor boat ride. So you can imagine my surprise when I look up above like all the dolls dancing and stuff doing that It's a Small World after all, and I see the exact same Stitch plush like all the way up top on some sort of ledge. And it didn't even fit in with the theme. Like the theme was not Lilo and Stitch in this room. It was like, I don't even know. But point is, it did not make any sense for a Stitch plush that I had just lost to be inside It's a Small World. It doesn't make any sense. But I brush it off. I was like, okay, maybe I'm just seeing things. But as we keep walking around the parks, I keep seeing people with those Stitch plushes. And I'm like, wow, like they must be really popular. So we actually go to a store to try and buy a new one since we lost our old one. There is none. They said that they were sold out of them and that they didn't have many to begin with. So I'm like, then why am I seeing so many people with them? The weirdest part happens when it's later at night and I turn to my left to see my dad walking right next to me. And I see none other than the Stitch plush in the backpack, in his backpack that he's carrying on his back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, like Stitch, he was in our backpack the entire time. I don't know what happened. I blinked and then he wasn't there. And my dad opened up the backpack and he was like, what are you talking about? There's no Stitch plush in here. And I'm like, I just saw him! So now I'm just like, okay, am I tweaking? Because we go back to the hotel to start packing for our trip back home tomorrow. And I go to the balcony. Now we're on like the 10th story of this hotel or something. But I walk out to the balcony and on the ledge, on the railing of the balcony, I see the Stitch plush sitting right there. And we lock eyes. I locked eyes with this stuffed animal. And then it fell. It fell off the railing. Like leaning back. It fell off the railing. And so I'm like, wait, what? And I look down there. It's not there. So now I'm like, okay, I'm schizophrenic. Like, what? Why am I seeing this plush everywhere? And I just kind of kept it to myself because I'm like, okay, I don't want my parents to think that I'm crazy. But the next day when we're going back home, I tell my mom on the plane, like, man, it really sucks that we didn't end up getting that Stitch plush. And she goes, what Stitch plush? What do you mean, what Stitch plush? In her words, she said that we never went to the store to get the Stitch plush. We never had it in the first place. And I was like, Are you playing with me? Like, what do you mean we never had it to begin with? I saw it. We bought it, and then I saw it like 5, 6, 7 different times during the day. And it got to the point in life where I just stopped believing myself. I was like, was that just did I hallucinate all of that? And to this day, I still have a difficult time believing that any of that actually even happened. Because it didn't. I made that whole story up.